Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I am once again broadcasting, simulcasting on Rumble and YouTube. And I was supposed to not broadcast today, but I can't help myself. It's a big day tomorrow. And there's a lot of stuff coming on. Tulsi Gabbard dropped another big goose egg bomb right on top of Dr. Fauchi's head and everybody involved with him. So anyway, there's a lot going on and a lot coming to fruition. And is the left starting to see the light? I don't know. But I'm going to play some videos while people get into the chats so we can reconnoiter and be like butter and get on a roll.
The walls feel like they are closing in.
But as the walls close in around the president,
Donald Trump feels the walls closing in.
This is a guy who feels like the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on him?
Because the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on the president.
Now the walls appear to be closing in.
Really kind of the walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in because the walls are indeed closing in.
I think at this point, the walls are spinning.
The legal walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on President Trump.
The walls, meanwhile, are closing in on the President of the United States.
The walls closing in on President Donald Trump.
It appears that the walls are closing in on this president.
feels that the walls are closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in.
And the walls are closing in on...
That the walls are closing in on the president.
Are the walls closing in?
The walls are closing in on the presidency.
It says as the walls begin to close around him. Is the political walls closing in on him?
This is a president that feels the walls closing in.
The walls are closing in on Donald Trump.
I think the walls are finally closing in.
The walls.
The walls.
The walls.
The walls.
The walls.
Walls and the walls.
The walls. The walls. The walls.
Walls are closing
in.
Closing in.
Closing in. Closing in on.
It's closing in.
The walls are closing in
on President Donald Trump.
He's not looking forward to any of it. He's horrified. He's just talking big. The walls are closing in, as has been said before.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
We want to remind the audience to please not talk out loud. Please do not applaud. You're just wasting time.
Storm zone. Yes, sir. I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
And he's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off. Payback time.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and HE in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. take care of it.
Hi, folks. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are doing well. Let me get a picture of Mr. T on the screen. Whoa. We'll see who came to see me tonight. I was supposed to have a not broadcast on Thursdays, but we got too big of a meeting coming up tomorrow, so I figured I'd come up anyway. Hi, Sissy. Hi, Gloria. Wayne, nice to see you. Melinda, Sherry, Todd, Robin, Benjamin, Rain, Rebecca, Darla, a Google account. Yeah, the walls are closing in on Obama. That's right. Todd's here. Let's see. Right. Debbie's here. Lori's here. Kim's here. Flannel cheese. Yeah. Good. We got everybody rolling. Hi, Brett. Nice to see you. All right. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, everybody. There he is. There he is. Barack Hussein Obama with Tulsi Gabbard staring through the peephole with Mr. T. I tell you, I was looking at clips today, and I was not expecting to go live. But I saw a clip of Tulsi Gabbard. I'll play it for you. Talking about the biolabs in Ukraine, and Trump signing executive order about the 90th anniversary of Social Security. Went over some of the numbers of, for decades, people getting checks 120 years old, 125 years old, 130 years old, in the millions for decades. And I said, when we find out the extent of the theft, the graft, the grift, we would be stunned. And all that aside, you know, I was thinking in my grandparents' lifetime, we see our freedom tossed in the trash pail as far as the 16th Amendment allowing some ethereal, amorphous entity known as a government, a bureaucratic government, have control over what you can keep from the sweat of your brow. How, as a 12-year-old, when I read that, I said, they threw it all away. I knew it then. You try to grab the criminals who are doing this stuff, stealing like this. It's like sticking your hand in a pile of sand and grabbing the sand and raising your hand up, and it all runs through your fingers and disappears in with the rest of the sand. That's what it's like when you give a entity, a bureaucratic entity, that kind of power, irrevocable power. But, it can be revoked, and we are going to revoke it. And we better learn our damn lesson. But even that, in our parents' lifetimes, and many of us in our own lifetimes, we see program after program based on race, defying the principles of our Constitution. To be nice. To be nice, people. We allow abuses to go on and on. But all that aside, I thought to myself, what we've witnessed on an industrialized scale, destruction of human life, never before seen at a scale like this ever in human history. And I'm talking about what one entity among many, Planned Parenthood, what they do and what we just let it happen. And I didn't even so much as throw a sandwich at anybody. Yeah, so today I was going over these things in my mind, including knowing about the truth about what's been going on with the pathogen they released on us, and what they did to our economies, what they did to our culture, what they did to our families, what they did with the theft, what they did with destroying the Constitution with the 16th Amendment, all those things, but all of it pales to what we've allowed happen to this country and what we've allowed happen to tens of millions of innocent souls and the victims too. The victims also. They don't even know it in many cases. A lot of them know it at the time, but many, it takes years to sink in, and many may not know until the afterlife the gravity of what they've done and what we've allowed collectively. So that's one reason why I went live tonight. Humanity has been degraded over the past at least 50 years. And we got to learn to stand up. We got to learn to speak frank. And lessons need to be learned. I put this picture up of that the White House put out, the most transparent president in history. They put that up, I believe, yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to put it up. But Trump has been saying, and the 17th letter's been saying, transparency is the key. D-class opens the doors. And we've got to be honest with ourselves. And we've got to be honest with other people. We don't have to be mean. But sometimes the term brutally honest comes from somewhere, because sometimes the truth hurts. But we still have to try to keep civil relations with people, and we got to let people know that it isn't all about me, it isn't all about them, it isn't all about you all. It's all about God's will and what we've been taught. Love one another as I have loved you. Is that what I did when I sat and listened to people saying, well, it is a woman's body and she does have the right to choose, and I just sat there like a gump because I didn't want to offend anybody? I didn't want to lose my place at the Cheers style lounge or bar where everybody knows your name. I said, yeah. Where was I? Did I have the full armor of God on? Doesn't sound like it. I did mouth off about it, and a lot of people knew not to bring that subject up around me. But that didn't change the fact that many years there were more abortions and live births in DC, our nation's capital. And we just watched the carnage. So, anyway, a lot of introspection is coming. Trump and Putin are going to compare notes. And the deep state is trembling and quaking. Trump came out and said they're criminals. They're criminals and they need to be dealt with. I'll play you that clip too. And I slapped stuff together because I was going to do a talking head tonight. A talking head because I had so much going around inside my gourd. But anyway, hi, MS Motorsports. How you doing? Nice to see you. Let's see who else made it in. I wonder how that foal's doing. Hi, Bill. Yeah, Tulsi's not playing. Graybeard, nice to see you. So, yeah, a Google account. And not only that, the record number is that they were openly selling human body parts, and nobody bats an eye. And then we got this thing right here. This creature running around, can't stand humanity, says, oh, if we play our cards right with these vaccines, we can lower the world's population. He said it. I played the video a number of times here. This is what the meeting is between Trump and Putin really is all about. Humanity, not just Zelensky. And he may be playing a role. Trump said, the Trump administration said, Putin and Zelensky are going to meet afterwards. What's going to be discussed then? But you got people like this, a dysphoric, psychotic billionaire who does not like humanity, making butter out of some mechanical process, bypassing old Bessie, okay, the cow. And here he's Gates-backed lab growing breast milk. Went bankrupt, thank God for that. Well, the same can happen with your butter company too. And I fully expect that this situation with Epsteinio is going to rope in a lot of people, everybody but Trump. And Epsteinio is on that list also, don't forget. No, he won't meet Putin alone. I don't know where they'd be. Probably there in Alaska. I heard. Did you hear the name of the facility they were going to meet at? They call it a 17th letter facility, and the annex that they're meeting is called 17th letter 1. That's what I heard. I don't know. We'll see if that's mentioned in any of the reports. Or is it just somebody looking for clicks? I don't know. But let me see if this happened in Minnesota last night. This happened in Minnesota. A lot of hints being dropped about which cities are going to be next to go through what's happening in the D.C. treatment. The D.C. treatment. Minnesota's a candidate. Just watch. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is D.C. Dan Scarino. Dan Scarino posted this from the White House. I'm sorry. I got that conflated with a similar. Well, when you see guys walking around with rifles. No, I'm sorry. They don't call them rifles. Now, here's the clip. You see the similarity? It started all with the front of a car. But you see how the media goes, oh, at least they're not walking around with long guns. I think it was Geraldo Rivera used that term. Every rifle is a long gun. How about you say rifle, you nitwits? But anyway, this is Minnesota. That they're going to be getting what we just saw, the DC treatment. Let me go ahead and cut my mic off.
organized and aggressive. One after the other, these criminals targeted cars in northeast Minneapolis. This is 11th Avenue, just south of Broadway. The woman who shared this video with us eventually had enough.
Hey, I've got you on video!
Police say at least 125 car windows were smashed between here and South Minneapolis Monday night into Tuesday, including Teddy Hopman's.
This has happened before already, so once I saw, more glass and some cops kind of hanging around doing their thing, I was like, oh.
There's my brand new vehicle. Broken.
Brooke Tuff came out as forensic teams were looking for evidence.
Everything was completely covered in powder, and it was kind of hard to get up to.
The neighbor video shows her car getting broken into.
It made me cry. It was really, really punched to the gut watching someone else inside my vehicle. It makes me scared to even come out here at night sometimes too. Thankfully, I didn't have anything valuable, kind of from the recent break-ins, taking everything out, so.
Yeah, they need a National Guard visit. And they might get one. They might get one. You all heard about Newsom having a press conference about how he's going to straighten out Trump with his redistricting, right? And what do they do? Here he is. Here's gruesome Newsom. Donald Trump, you have poked the bear and we will punch back. Notice the violent rhetoric. Violent rhetoric. Punch. I've shown you, like Midas Trash Network, they use violent images and rhetoric. California Governor Newsom announced he's moving forward with putting proposed new congressional maps on a November 4th special election in an attempt to, quote, punch back. Yeah, well, you're punched out. Just like Rocky, what was it, Rocky 3? When he let him punch and punch and punch, and then it was time to come back. He had no punches left. That's where you all are at. But what did Trump do? No, well, it wasn't necessarily Trump. But I believe this is a clip. They put ice out there. Let me see if this is the right clip. Yeah, I believe it is. Let's see. And Gruesome got humiliated.
Behind you, brother.
You guys are fucking cowards! All of you are fucking cowards!
Watch out. You got another one with him? Keep it going.
Well done, gentlemen. Well done.
Greg, Mr. Gohino from Fox 11, can I get a quick comment?
Hey, what's going on here?
How you doing? What happened?
We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves. So that's what we're here today, as you can see. Already making it a safer place. We're glad to be here, not going anywhere.
And the governor's inside right there.
I don't know where he's at.
He's about 100 feet behind us. Do you have any comment from him or anything?
Again,
any message?
We're making Los Angeles and California a safer place. We're going to continue to do that, and they can take that one to the bank and cash it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
He said, I don't even know where he's at. Well, he's in the building. He's trying to have some show-off event. And, of course, Newsom had to come out and say, oh, it's disgusting what they did. They knew we were having a press conference. Well, Karen Bass, this is the one right here that I think should be one of the first ones to get locked up. Mayor Bass reacts to Bovino's raid outside Governor Newsom's press conference in Little Tokyo. That was a good place to go find illegals at one of the governor's press conferences.
Not believe that this just happened to be a coincidence.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable. This is a administration, this is a Customs and Border Patrol that has gone amok. This absolutely has to stop. There was no danger here. There was no need to detain anyone here. And there was certainly no need to have a provocative act right here where the governor is having a press conference.
I think it was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Look at her. She's mad as a wet hen. And she needs to get locked up. She's aiding and abetting. She's financing this incursion, this invasion. She's a subversive, a malcontent, a miscreant. And she needs to be taken out of office. Just like Trump said, they need to be taken out. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I tell you, I pick clandestine because he takes the time to type it out in very close notions as to what I consider is happening. I don't agree with everything he says. Hi, Rain, how you doing? Miss Mendersu, nice to see you. Jess and Bean, nice to see you. Anne's here. Let me see. I got to give Miss Menderson some booms. And everybody, I give everybody some booms. Since I got Obama's picture up there, maybe I could put a bomb right on his head. But I appreciate Mr. Mendersu. And Norm was the last one to go by. Where'd my bomb go off at? Bow! There. Pow! That's for going by, buy me a coffee. I got a link in the description if anybody wants to help the channel out. But, yeah, Mike and Bev and Gary and Wayne helped out last week. We're in a new week. Oh, my gosh. It's going by. Now, look here. Look here. Miserable. Look at her. Hey, Mrs. Happy. How are you doing? D.C. mayor travels to Martha's Vineyard amid Trump's federalized crime crackdown. Skipping town, D.C. Mayor Bowser traveled to Martha's Vineyard. What's in Martha's Vineyard? I heard the chef fell off his paddleboard out there or something in Martha's Vineyard. But anyway, that is where Obama's second shadow White House is. And she's going to be with her wife. Don't forget, this person is married to Donna Brazil. Donna Brazil, who gave the answers to Hillary. Remember that, folks? So they're all going to go up and strategize and commiserate. Dan Scavino, speaking of Dan Scavino, he put this post up. Why would he put this post up today? Anybody got an idea? On this day, 5 years ago, thank you, New York PD. POTUS has your back, like you've got his. Grateful to all law enforcement. There we go. Boy, that's a lot of horsepower to be moving that big boat that fast. That thing's probably doing 40 miles an hour. Look at it. Well, 35 knots. Anyway, why would Dan Swino put that up? And this also, on the same day, 5 years ago, arriving in New York City on Marine One, flying past the Statue of Liberty. I told you all about my adventure where I moved a vessel on down the East Coast in March. Wow, that was something else. Out in the ocean, we didn't use a inland waterway or nothing. But anyway, yeah, at least I could say I did it. Why would Dan Scavino be putting that stuff out? And he put out something about Miss Bowser going to going to Martha's Vineyard, mocking her, I guess. When I come across it, I'll put it. It might be this one right here. Oh, no, this is a good one. He put up this yesterday. We see you, Clapper, with the scales of justice and an hourglass. An hourglass, you might as well say that's a way of saying tick-tock. And he reposted something from January 2017. Director of National Intelligence James Clapper releases a statement after phone conversation with President-elect Trump. A little walk down memory lane. What do you think of that? Well, what did he have to say to President-elect Trump? This evening, I had the opportunity to speak with President-elect Donald Trump to discuss recent media reports about our briefing last Friday. I expressed my profound dismay at the leaks that have been appearing in the press, and we both feel that they are extremely corrosive and damaging to our national security. Yeah. What did Jeff Sessions said? Whoever done it, we will catch you and your ass will go to jail. We also discussed the private security company document, which was widely circulated in recent months among the media, members of Congress and congressional staff. But he's kissing up, but he's really the snake in the grass. The intelligence community has not made any judgment about the information in this document is reliable, and we do not rely upon it in any way for our conclusions. Right after it's documented to be saying, we got to get this stuff out. We got to keep our story straight. So anyway, that's Dan Scavino just reminding him of what a kiss-up he was and a liar. And at the same time, remember I said Devin Nunes would be activated, right? At the same time, he put that up. Devin Nunes put this up. Retro. He shows Star Wars glasses, Return of the Jedi. Because Dan Scavino put this up from 2017. Right here. This is what Nunes was referring to. Retro. What did Dan Scavino repost about Devin Nunes? We're going retro, baby.
Some level of surveillance activity, perhaps legal, but I don't know that it's right, and I don't know that the American people would be comfortable with what I've read. But let us get all the reports.
When they were spying on President Trump, and Admiral Rogers came and let Trump know on November 17th, 2016, and on November 18th, Trump moved his operations overnight from Trump Towers to Bedminster, New Jersey. I'll never forget it. I'm just looking at chats real quick. Yeah. Who? Anybody get in here? If I missed anybody, I apologize. So anyway, what do we got now? We got another hint at where the National Guard might go. Breaking point. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham declared a crisis in Rio Arriba County following a significant surge in drugs and violence. Well, governor declares a state of emergency. What did I say was one of the predicates before you could get federal help with FEMA is a good example, that there needed to be a disaster declaration or a state of emergency declared by the governor, right? Governor declares state of emergency in New Mexico County after Trump's D.C. crime crackdown. She's a Dem governor, but is she setting the table for Trump to be able to exercise the same authority? Is she playing ball, in other words? Here's that clip I told you I'd play you. I believe this is the one about... let me see if this is... This might be where he signs the... 90-year anniversary executive order. Let's see.
I'm going to sign the new proclamation, please.
Sir, this is a proclamation both commemorating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, the signing of the Social Security Act, and also the incredible accomplishments of your administration, fixing and promoting and safeguarding Social Security. And it also obviously mentions the fact that as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
That's a big factor, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's great. I think they're very happy about it, too. They're very happy about a lot of things. Good job, Frank.
Thank you, sir.
And Frank has brought with him some of the most talented people in business, and they were making a lot of money, but they made a lot of money. They had money they didn't have to make anymore, and they just want to do this. They want to have our country become strong and good, and that's what's happening. And we're doing that in a lot of locations, a lot of areas. The people that are commissioners, that are secretaries of state, secretaries of treasury and commerce, people that were really, really successful people. And they gave all that up to make a very small amount of money. They don't even consider it a fraction. You say 1%, less than 1%. That's pretty good. That's a big pay cut. But Frank is one of the most outstanding of all. His career has been incredible, and you just have to look at what happened at J.P. Morgan Chase and look at what happened with First Data. First Data was the biggest company of its kind in the world, but it was not going to make it. He went in, and it became a tremendous success. It merged into another company, and he became the head of that company. Then he said, let me go save Social Security. Because as big as that stuff is, it's small potatoes compared in terms of numbers, right? In terms of numbers, these are big numbers. Government numbers are big numbers. So I want to thank everybody for being here, but I'm really proud of you, Frank. And here's your proclamation, and let's take a look at what that looks like. Signed by the human hand. For a change.
It was a proclamation. I said executive order. Yeah, signed by the human hand for once. Signed by the human hand. And this is the one that you really should share. If you can clip it out of the video, and it's only a minute and 30 seconds. Think in your mind how much money for how many decades they've stolen from us.
Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right? No tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country, and yet we were sending them checks all the time. And 275,000, and that number is now even larger than that, Frank. It's an unbelievable job. And what that's doing is making the system strong. It's making it strong. Biden never kicked anybody off. Everybody joined. And we're carrying out historic deportations to remove many more illegals committing Social Security fraud. It's the Social Security fraud that was taking place at levels that nobody's ever seen. We cleared 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database over 120 years of age. Think of that. So we had 12.4 million names where they were over 120 years old. Is that right? That's a hell of a statement. I have a feeling, Dan, that's not really really didn't happen, did it? So you have 12.4 million names listed in the Social Security database that were over 120 years of age, meaning you were breaking records, because I've never heard of anybody at 125. There were nearly 135,000 people listed who were over 160 years old, and in some cases getting payments. So somebody's getting those payments, and we're after that.
And we're after that. Who's been getting those payments? And he also talked about 273,000 people that did not even belong in this country getting checks. And people like this are the ones who accelerated it. Right here, he was going to fundamentally change America, remember? Oh, yeah. He's going to turn it into a commie nation, right? Former President Obama rallies Texas Democrats who left the state to block Republicans' redistricting plan. Okay. Getting a little nervous, are you, Barack? Former President Barack Obama joined a virtual meeting with Texas House Democrats who left the state to deny GOP redistricting plans, cheering on their efforts. Oh, when they said they were coming back today, did you intercede somehow? Just like you interceded with Judge Sullivan when he was told to dismiss the charges against General Flynn, and then you put out a statement and he did a backflip, and shortly after that, he stepped back. In other words, he resigned. Yeah, we remember that stuff, Barack Hussein Obama, founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS, in case you didn't know. Want to hear desperation? A trashy, foul-mouthed, scroungy Democrat being desperate. Doesn't even know how to cook a hamburger. Chuck Schumer.
Have you heard, do you think that he's going to end up going to because he can't revoke complete home rule authority for DC without actually going to Congress first. He can't even extend this past 30 days without going to you all first. Have you heard that that's what he plans on doing? And if he went to Congress and said, you know what, there's this crime emergency, we need the National Guard out there longer, we need to take over Washington, D.C., would you grant it?
No fucking way. We'll fight him tooth and nail. And right now, as you said, he can only do it for 30 days, or now I guess it's 26 or 27, whatever. And he needs to get Congress to approve it. And not only are we not going to approve it, but there are some Republicans who don't like it either. This is, again, just a distraction. He's afraid of Epstein. He's afraid of all that. And we are not going to be we are not going to give up on it.
Now, from what I understand, unfortunately, if Trump wants to go beyond the 30 days, he has to get 60 votes in the Senate. I'm not 100% sure of that. But what he's saying is they're not going to give Trump more than 30 days. Is everything going to be done in 30? Or will Trump have to take some kind of action? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I know Hunter Biden. How you doing, Hunter? Running your big mouth. You got this lady very angry at you. And she's probably going to put one upside your head, or 1 billion of them upside your head. Melania Trump sues Hunter Biden for 1 billion, linking her to Epstein and Maxwell. Now, this could be something that Hunter Biden, we know he left that laptop at the computer store. the laptop from hell. A lot of us feel that he did it on purpose because he is being cooperative, lending material assistance to the apprehension and prosecution of these malcontents, miscreants, and misfits that have been running the country for so long. So we'll see how that plays out. Speaking of malcontent, miscreant, misfits, this one I showed you the video of yesterday in his pink shirt. And I don't know what color those pants are. They're kind of like the shirt is mauve and the pants are violet, I guess. I don't know. DOJ employee. He was a DOJ employee. Fired. Charged with felony after allegedly assaulting officer with a sandwich. And that leads me back to my opening monologue, I guess you'd call it, where I said all the stuff that we've seen, and I didn't add enough for a sandwich. But here he is. Pam Bondi said, I just learned this defendant worked at the Department of Justice. No longer. The man accused of assaulting a Border Patrol agent with a sandwich previously worked at the DOJ, according to AG Pam Bondi. He has since been fired and charged with a felony. These flippin' liberals. Well, we know that Bowser is in Martha's Vineyard, where chefs go to drown. What's that leave us with? This so-called police chief, and I know you all heard about her not even knowing what a chain of command was. I've got that down here. I didn't play it the other day. It's idiotic. It's ridiculous. She's a butch, right? Like the LA Fire Department. They go out of their way. Like with the DOJ, in this instance, with the sandwich thrower, with the people that work at the Smithsonian Institution, people that work at the National Archives, people that work in the National Park Service, they were trying to overload our military with malcontents, miscreants, and misfits. Okay? And here you have one. Here you have one. Reporter, do you know the chain of command, what the chain of command is now? D.C. Chief Police Pamela Smith. What does that mean? What does that mean? The chain of command. What does that mean? Well, she found out what it means. It means she's got to answer. Transodious put up, what does that mean? She was a chief equity officer, DEI, for DC's Metropolitan Police Department in 2022. 1 year later, she's promoted chief of police. A nitwit. Smith went from being the chief of 400 parks officers, what did I say? To leading a Metropolitan Police Department of nearly 4,000 people, so 3,500. DC police chief, that's where there she is. Just rocketed to the top. Well, chain of command is now that Donald J. Trump is running DC and you answer to whoever he tells you to answer to. And that's exactly what she's doing. DC chief orders cooperation with ICE. Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department issued a executive order that amends procedure. Does she know how to spell it? Or I guess all she had to do was sign her name, unless she's got an auto pen too. Amends procedures to allow cooperation with federal immigration enforcement agencies, including ICE. She's compelled to do that. Because according to the chain of command, if you don't do what you're told, you are relieved of your duties. Here's the Babylon Bee put this up. Trump heads to Alaska to negotiate historic truce between humans and bears. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Well, here's Putin. He's talking about, he's talking in glowing terms, I would say, as far as Vladimir goes, about Trump's efforts. Now, is he going to be like, hey, I know he tried his best, but it just didn't work out. But I got to tell you, he really gave it the old college try. Or is he getting people ready to see a success? I don't know.
Который, как всем хорошо известно, предпринимает.
And secondly, I will tell you about the stage we are at with the current American administration, which, as everyone knows, is making, in my opinion, quite energetic and sincere efforts to stop the hostilities, stop the crisis and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict, in order to create long-term conditions for peace, both between our countries and in Europe, and in the world as a whole. If, at the next stage, we reach agreements in the area of control over strategic offensive weapons.
So, in energetic and sincere efforts. Energetic and sincere efforts. And then right after he makes that statement, Tulsi Gabbard comes out with this. Now, am I crazy? But when I listened to this, what I heard was that we're going to start talking about Fauci. We're going to start talking about experiments with anthrax and some sort of pig virus on top of what they tried to blame the Chinese on with a Wuhan bat. That this stuff is going to be exposed and these labs are going to be, I believe the details of these labs are going to be presented in order to procure indictments. That's what I think. But anyway, here's what Tulsi came out with after Vladimir Putin said, well, these are really energetic and sincere efforts.
But the thing that we are working with Jay Bhattacharya, the new NIH director, on with, as well as Secretary Kennedy, is looking at the gain-of-function research that, in the case of the Wuhan lab, as well as many of these other biolabs around the world, was actually U.S. funded and leads to this dangerous kind of research that, in many examples, has resulted in either a pandemic or some other major health crisis.
Well, let me ask you specifically, because we already know that EcoHealth Alliance was partnering with this Wuhan lab to do gain-of-function research.
That's right.
We just have never been able to have somebody say, it was that exact experiment that led to this COVID bug. But have we gotten there? What's the new thing that you're digging in on?
We are working on that with Jay Bhattacharya and look forward to being able to share that, hopefully very soon.
Okay.
That specific
link.
Correct, between the gain-of-function research and what we saw with COVID-19.
I mean, that would be extraordinary because, just so the audience knows, if that's true, if it was Peter Daszak's research with the Wuhan so-called bat lady that caused this pandemic, then we did fund it. Then Anthony Fauci helped fund the pandemic.
The thing that he denied over and over and over to Senator Rand Paul's questioning.
That's right, under oath.
Under oath, exactly. So is it any wonder that he sought a preemptive pardon for anything during a certain period of time by President Biden before he left office?
And then strong-armed and smeared people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, anybody who came out and said, I don't know if that's natural. This actually smacks of lab.
And the reason why this is so important is not just what happened in the past. It's because this gain-of-function research is happening in biolabs around the world. I got attacked, and I think you saw this, we've probably talked about it on your show before, when I warned against U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine when the Russia-Ukraine war kicked off for this very reason. Who knows what kinds of pathogens are in these labs, and if released could create another COVID-like pandemic. And for that, I was called a Russian asset. You're, trumpeting Putin's talking points, all of this nonsense, simply for speaking the truth and stating facts that, by the way, are still on U.S. Embassy Ukraine's website today about how the U.S. has funded these biolabs in Ukraine. But my point is, in order to prevent another COVID-like pandemic or another major health incident that could affect us in the world, we have to end this gain-of-function research and provide the evidence that shows exactly why and how it's in our best interest, the American people's best interest, to bring about an end to it.
Gain of function, that's another way of saying weaponizing. And now this stuff being brought up just before the summit may be a little bit more than the Department of Justice's pay grade when you're talking about international violations, such as weaponizing pathogens and actually dispensing them, releasing them. That might be something for the military to handle, or the military of multiple nations. And maybe Zelensky will get a little smack upside the head of reality, or maybe he'll act like he never knew and agree to some kind of cooperative action. The U.S. announced the composition of its delegation to the Russia-USA summit in Alaska. It will include U.S. President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, as well as the U.S. President's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. And for those people who pay attention to what the President of the United States is doing and watch his press conferences because they're concerned Americans that want to participate in democracy. We all know who these people are. They're now not mysteries to us. Every one of them. Bessent, Witkoff, Rubio, Vance. But for those who are just want to kick and fight and fuss over Donald Trump, they have no idea what the hell's going on. But they will, I believe, after these revelations about the biolabs become more prescient. How is the mainstream media going to ignore this? U.S.-funded biolabs that weaponize illnesses to cause loss of life of millions of people, and no one's saying nothing? No document signings are expected following the Putin-Trump summit in Alaska, Peskov said. So they're lowering expectations. Trump stated that he doubts the possibility of achieving an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine following the meeting with Putin. He added he intends to allow Ukraine and Russia to discuss possible settlement agreement themselves. So what will be discussed with Putin and Zelensky? What will be disclosed? What in the world is going on here? There we go. So, remember that comment from Putin's right-hand man that something very special and good for the world was going to come out of this meeting. Now they're tamping down expectations, but Trump said, Putin knows I am the toughest opponent he has ever had to deal with. Other statements from the U.S. leader. I am not sure about the possibility of reaching agreement on immediate ceasefire in the conflict in Ukraine. If the meeting goes badly, I will not call anyone. I intend to allow Russia and Ukraine to discuss a possible settlement agreement themselves. I am confident that Putin wants to reach a deal on Ukraine. The U.S. intends to resort to sanctions if the meeting with Putin in Alaska fails. The probability that our meeting with Putin will end unsuccessfully is 25%, no more. Well, that gives some hope. So this meeting is going to be a seminal moment tomorrow. And even beyond that, the meeting between Putin and Zelensky. And I'm waiting for China to get involved. Because we've all got treaties. We've all got treaties that concern international criminality, bioweapons, okay? Mutual assistance. So we'll see how it shakes out. But here's one of Clandestine's synopsises that I agree with in the most part. The Dems' mainstream media entire entity revolves around stopping Trump by any means necessary. Well, Trump just stopped 6 wars in 6 months and is about to stop the big one, Russia, Ukraine. They tried to overthrow and KILL the guy who is currently stopping conflicts around the globe. The Dems and mainstream media just waged a 10-year-plus war against a guy who is preventing World War III. They tried to frame him with treason, obstructed his entire first term, tried to overthrow him, stole the 2020 election, raided his home, indicted him, arrested him, tried to put him away for life, tried to prevent him from being on the ballot in 2024. And then after all that failed, they tried to assassinate him. They're willing to do all that to the guy who ends up bringing world peace. What does that make them? And that's where I put up my thumbnail for tonight's broadcast. They're all criminals. They're all criminals, and that can't be forgotten. And it needs to be drilled into people's heads, reality. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Darla. Roland, nice to see you. Jerry. I saw Yvonne came in earlier. There she is. So, anyway, I agree with that synopsis, don't you? And there's other synopsises I'll read. Here's the mainstream media. When you've got the director of national intelligence talking about a calamity, multiple calamities being engineered in an area that is being policed by the likes of Mitt Romney's son, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, Hunter Biden, all in Ukraine making money, investing in Metabiota, responsible for funding of the Wuhan lab. And what do they talk about? Families and advocates allege inhumane conditions at Alligator Alcatraz. You've got the world at risk of another pathogen. You've got rank and open criminality ongoing. And they put this out. It's like you're dead alive. Immigration attorneys and advocates have raised concerns about what they say are inhumane conditions at alligator Alcatraz. A detainee's fiancé. That's really some kind of legal status, right? My fiancé. Remember back in the day, they wouldn't let you rent a hotel room unless you were married? Remember that, folks? I remember. Because I came up with the same crap. Oh, it's my fiance. But anyway, fiance means squat. No, wait a minute. It's a little more than that. It's worth diddly squat, okay? A detainee's fiance told her he spends nearly every moment of his day locked in a chain link cage inside of a large white tent, which frequently floods when it rains. Mosquitoes and other insects swarm around. Temperatures fluctuate from sweltering Florida heat to bone-shaking cold from industrial air conditioners. What the hell? And access to medical attention is limited. It is just a stop-off before your drop-off, okay? It's not supposed to be the Ritz-Carlton. It's the stop-off before your drop-off. Neither the Florida Division of Emergency. Anyway, they didn't answer. Had no comment. What do you expect? It's you all make this stuff front page news, and all the mouth breathing do-gooder liberals go in the comments. Oh, it's so horrible. Trump is a criminal. Here's another one from Gavin Newsom. Vows to double California's violent crime if Trump doesn't stop cleaning up D.C. Well, how many of you all got to see these homeless camps getting cleaned up? JLR Investigates had a live stream going where they were taking these skid loaders and bobcats. And I mean taking 10 years or more worth of tents and hobbled together structures in the trees and everything. On waterfront, right at the Lincoln Memorial, prime park real estate was full of these people for years and years. And you think about it. Who gave them those tents? Who gave them those sleeping bags? I guarantee that's all with government money. I guarantee you the D.C. government was handing those tents out for humanitarian purposes. And I'll tell you what. How many of them you think participated in the, I'll call them the gift card marches? The gift card marches. Where when these malcontents show up, like here, Fox News put this up. Paid protesters, Dems accused of phony opposition. Trump must go now. Well, how come they got a picture of only like 5 people there in front of the White House? How come they're in 100 or 150 of them screaming and wandering around? Because they're all getting bulldozed out of the parks. They get a bottle of Ripple or they get a gift card to Walmart to show up, get a sign handed to them, and be a warm body. And maybe they could even pickpocket somebody or get a little tip or a bonus. Gift card protesters. So, you're going to see now that Trump's cleaning out all this riffraff and trash and not allowing these activists, it's not just homeless people, these activists stake out campgrounds where they can show up and protest. And a lot of them get like $100, $150 a protest. So if nobody's saying nothing to you and you can camp there for free and get paid, to protest. Well, not anymore. You'll have to make reservations at the Trump Hotel, formerly the old post office. So, and that ain't going to happen. So anyway. Y'all remember that? You remember those days? I used to add, that's my niece. Yeah, I got it. Anyway, let's see. I got some other clips here. Here. Mainstream media, is this part of the Truth and Reconciliation? I played the clip yesterday of one reporter saying, I got jumped. She said jumped, really mugged 2 weeks ago. Remember I played that clip? That's stepping outside of the boundaries of the controlled media. So here's Morning Schmo.
The answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay, there's nothing to see here, move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll at late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. And John Heilman, we've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. So wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among the lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes. As they were last year, black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same thing last.
Yeah, so there you're seeing the media come out and admit that it's a problem instead of lying to our faces. Is this the one with Geraldo Rivera? Let me see. I'm not sure.
Well, what about that idea? What about the idea that this is, even if one supports this effort, it's not like hiring 500 additional cops in D.C.?
This is, I guess, another example of Truth and Reconciliation Act. When they let him talk a little bit, Scott. What's his last name? Anyway, every news organization at least does some kind of segment that tells the truth. We never saw that before, except for Rachel Madcow. But MSNBC has been doing it.
And I think they do have a staffing shortage in the D.C. Police Department. They need to fix that. I don't know what's authoritarian about putting some extra eyes and ears on the street, getting criminals off the street to keep people from being murdered and carjacked. Nobody in their right mind believes Washington, D.C. is safe. And to say the president's trying to help us keep people from getting murdered and carjacked and we have to stop this authoritarian push, it's just sort of ridiculous rhetoric. These Democrats don't know what to do with themselves. Every time Donald Trump tries to do something, they reflexively feel the need to oppose it without thinking through the political implications for themselves.
You think Democrats are taking the bait?
Well, I think they're acting like idiots here. The city is crime-ridden. I saw a guy get murdered in Union Station in February at 4 in the afternoon. I saw the body hit the floor. at the bottom of the escalator on the second floor. And so everybody who visits there, everybody who lives there knows it's a serious problem. You have extra eyes and ears. They've arrested criminals. They're getting illegal guns off the street. People feel safer. Tourists feel safer. What is the problem?
Did you notice that anchor going, oh, you mean the Democrats are taking the bait? Like Trump's baiting them. He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing as a leader. He's baiting them. But Scott Jennings, he said, I just saw somebody lose their life in front of my eyes at 4 p.m. I saw him hit the ground, expired. And that's on top of the young lady who said, hey, I just got mugged or robbed, jumped. Let me see if this is Geraldo. Even Geraldo. And you know how long he's been around. Remember his, let me see, wait a second.
It's gone into the Smith.
Oh, this is an argument. I'll play this in a minute. Let's see if this is it. Geraldo had his big claim to fame when he came out with the Zapruder film of Kennedy back in the 70s.
DC has been with all.
Yeah, this is it. I'm going to restart that. Now, let me cut my mic off and play it for you. He's going to tell you exactly what DC is at the very beginning.
D.C. has been, with all due respect to our nation's capital, a shithole for a long time. You know, it reminds me of the old LaGuardia Airport that became so ghettoized and so grim and dark and melancholy that you get used to it. Remember, these are citizen soldiers, the Guard. In broad strokes, I agree that the military should not be deployed for a law enforcement purpose. But these people, the Guard, the citizen soldiers, are there for a different reason. They're there to calm people down and to also project a presence. Do you see a couple of guardsmen, even if they don't have their long guns, and they don't, thank God, have them as they are deployed, they're there, or they're there in a support function.
Long guns.
On the same team. And I started covering homelessness in D.C. more than 30 years ago, a guy named Mitch Snyder. Mitch did everything he could to attract attention, even including a fast, where ultimately he almost killed himself because he went on a starvation fast. Because they wanted to get things done.
Right.
So jump cut 35 years forward, and if anything, it is worse than ever. It is tarnished. So it is
Geraldo, it's interesting.
What was that at the end? What? He sounded like a news nation. Anyway, at least they let him talk. Speaking of letting you talk, this is a clip that I was going to play a minute ago. There's a woman here trying to talk about the Smithsonian, how they're all their displays and description of history has all been perverted and dysphoric. And she just tries to correct this woman, like with slavery. She said, only 2% of white people had slaves. And, she could have gone on farther to say that it was a institution around the world for thousands of years. Every culture had slavery, but they always blame whitey, even though they're 14% of the world population. But anyway, she doesn't get. She gets to squeeze her words in, but you got to really listen to it, because you watch these people. Are they just moving the View to nighttime, where people interrupt and talk over top of their guests and prattle talking points, because it is really aggravating. I don't know how people can hold their temper.
Smithsonian. He's effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with Dear Leader and what the MAGA
Can we
organization
address
wants.
some of those things that are in there? Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Yeah, slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like,
He's not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
Okay.
he's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you look at slavery, let's talk about the fact that
slavery in America was.
do you realize that only less than 2% of white Americans owned slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people were
do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised.
This is an extraordinary exercise in historical revisionism.
I'm really surprised.
Do you realize that
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and who was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
that in the context of American history, in the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by saying that it was white people oppressing black people?
Every single thing is like, oh, no, this is all because white people bad. And that's just not the truth. Like, for example, every single exhibit, I have a list of every single one. Like, people migrated from Cuba because white people bad. Not because of Castro. Yes, no, it's in there. That's what I'm saying. You don't actually know what's in there. Do you know that when you walk in the front door, the first thing you see is the gay flag?
Jillian, you have a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yeah, I do,
what
because
exactly
I don't, because here's the
are
thing.
you talking about?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please.
There's one called Change Your Game, right? This has been an installation there. Is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't.
And it's totally partisan.
First of all, we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose the argument. And everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, I can't believe you're trying to suggest, that slavery is a good thing.
Just to be clear, you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole point of this is that the issue
you brought up slavery, and you brought up the question of whether. You brought up the question of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is yes.
I did not
say in the United States
don't
is
straw man
about
my argument
race.
because that's not what I said.
So what are you
brought
talking
up
about?
Slavery, and what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. When you make every single exhibit about white imperialism when it isn't relevant at all, that is a problem. So when you're talking about Cubans leaving Cuba and you make it about white people bad, that's not accurate.
Can I just say something?
That's my point.
All right, we're going to move on from that.
I think why this is.
Boy, she had to struggle to get her points out. That woman just kept talking over top of her. What she's trying to explain is the Smithsonian has been co-opted into everything supporting their dopey hoaxes, gender hoaxes, climate hoaxes. White people are to blame for all slavery, and on and on. They're taking our tax dollars and using every bit of power at every level, at every institution to inculcate their dysphoria, okay? But no, you can't get in a word edgewise with these nitwits. Tennessee, how you doing? Justin, nice to see you. Glad you could join us. Yeah, but at least, they're bringing on guests that can try to get a message through. And some of these old guard liberals are like Geraldo and Morning Schmo are putting out some reasonable reality for their people to digest. But anyway, here's Harry Enton And he's going to go over the poll numbers. And it's astounding how just common sense, Trump acted with common sense. And even with this 10-year assault, legal assault, media assault on Trump, how far ahead he is in the polls with the average American. And at the end, they don't even show you what the Democrats think. I think they're too embarrassed to show the numbers because it shows you that a lot of the Democrats have just lost their flipping minds. So they're too embarrassed to put the numbers up.
Yeah, I think that Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number 1. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. And while this polling doesn't take into account what's exactly happening in D.C. right now, it does take into account what happened in Los Angeles, what's happened earlier this year. And Americans, for the most part, actually view Trump favorably. Crime is one of Trump's best issues. It's one of the reasons why he wants to talk about crime, because it favors him.
It will be very interesting when you can see polling that has what's happening and rolling out right now settling in to see
if it moves
what the impact really is, because it's been a lot of messaging is what we've seen. Compare Trump to Biden in handling of crime, please.
Yeah, okay. I think this sort of gives the game away here because Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden's. And again, I think it gets back to the point that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than a lot of Democrats want to admit.
Americans writ large, but how does it break down by party?
Yeah, okay. So I think that this is, we're talking about Donald Trump here, right? So I think it's very important to note that this isn't just about Donald Trump. It's about Republicans versus Democrats, right? And that, of course, is a key question going into next year's midterm election. I think the party closest to your views on crime. Look, in 2023, Republicans were favored by 13 points. Look at where they were in May of this year. Republicans were actually favored by 16 points. They actually gained ground on crime. They were maintaining their edge and actually added a little bit to it. So Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate, they absolutely want to be talking about crime. The more they feel that we're talking about crime, the better they feel that the electoral landscape is for them.
Okay. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, those numbers are hard to deny. And you got to remember, anytime CNN puts a poll out, it's going to be more skewed. But it's such a massive difference. They can't skew it. Here's Posobiec put this out. Unbelievable things are happening. This is a new ICE vehicles. See what it says on the back of the ICE pickup truck? Defend the homeland. Defend the homeland. And at the same time, Citizens Free Press put this up. ICE has new vehicles, and there they are. In front of the Capitol, we have taken the Capitol grounds. Ha ha ha. With our new vehicles that say, defend the homeland. Roland, I'm glad you're doing good too, buddy. Sounds like you've been through a lot. Sounds like you've been through a lot. Remember, move it or lose it. Got to keep busy. Got to keep moving best you can. Trump put this up. Mark Seagraves, NBC4. Oh, NBC4. As D.C. deals with federal takeover of police and increases its cooperation with ICE and clearing homeless encampments, multiple sources tell NBC Washington Mayor Bowser has left town for Martha's Vineyard. You know, folks, I'll go ahead and say it. There's a report out that Tulsi Gabbard is working on declaring the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. Right? What happened with MS-13 when they got, Tren de Aragua, when they got classified as an enemy of the U.S.? Who is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood? I think Barack Hussein Obama. Who's his cohort? Valerie Jarrett. Okay. Susan Rice. John Brennan. They got a shadow White House in D.C. They're trying to run a government inside of our government in D.C. I consider that to be the headquarters for the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, is Obama's shadow White House, which is now under military control, the territory. So if Muslim Brotherhood is declared a terrorist group, I wouldn't be surprised to see that compound get raided. That's my prediction I've been thinking about putting out for a couple of weeks. A little bit of payback for Mar-a-Lago. Anyway, Clapper pushed to compromise normal steps to rush 2017 intelligence community assessment despite concerns. There's Admiral Rogers. He's the one who raised the concerns. The Soviet put this up. Let's see. There's an outfit called Roblox. Bans P3DO hunters and vigilantes on the game platform. They run a game platform for young people to go on, and I guess these old perverts that are 40 years old and still play video games on platforms that little kids play. But anyway, they don't want people on there searching for these criminal entities. They're blocking them. So that's something to keep back of your mind. Think they want what's best for kids? Here's another clip from Mr. T. Let's see what this is. Oh. Let's listen real close to what he has to say. We just had that picture up there, Clapper, on the screen. We're talking about Brennan. We're talking about Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, Barack Hussein Obama.
Last night related to the Russiagate hoax.
She's doing a great job, by the way. That was another fake story. I'm very happy with the job she's doing. That's right. They declassified some terrible documents talking about Democrats and what they did. Yeah. Radical left lunatics.
It showed that then DNI James Clapper sent out emails to IC officials saying that it would be a team sport to push then the debunked 2017 ICA report and that it might need them to compromise on their normal modalities. What's your reaction to the latest declassification? And in your view, sir, what does real accountability look like for the players?
It's incredible what we're finding. Absolute proof of guilt. And we'll see what happens. But Clapper and Comey and that whole group of criminals, they're criminals. And they made it very tough. You know, they did the fake Russia witch hunt that lasted for 2 years. And I got totally exonerated. There was no doubt about it. They should have done it in 1 day, not 2 years. But it was a whole scheme to try and demean Trump so that I couldn't win an election. And that is a criminal group of people. They're sick people, and they're criminals, and they should be taken.
a sick group, a criminal group, and they should be taken care of. I concur wholeheartedly. Let me see what this one is. I concur, and that is what the theme of this broadcast is tonight. Oh, this is a kid out there outside of D.C., outside of Union Station. Virtually overnight, they've wiped out crime in D.C. and made the place 10 times better as far as a place to visit or spend your day or go to work.
I walk by this train station every single day on my way to work, and I have not seen it like this. You can see a National Guard Humvee behind me, and we've seen, I don't know, Josh, if you can pan over, there are a couple National Guardsmen who are walking across the street over there. We have Humvees basically at each corner of the train station here on a fairly busy Thursday afternoon. And this is what you can expect here in the coming days. Let's pan over there. You can see another Humvee there. This is what you can expect over the next 30 days and possibly a lot longer after that, Jess, because we know just yesterday President Trump said that they are planning to indefinitely extend their federalization of MPD and really ramp up federal law enforcement resources here in the district. It's not just National Guard. We have also seen Homeland Security officers, DEA officers, Park Police. There were vehicles here just a little bit earlier. This is one of the areas of focus that we have heard a lot of concerns about, crime around Union Station, people who are loitering outside. I will tell you, as somebody who walks this route all the time, it does seem like there are fewer people just sort of hanging.
Fewer people sort of hanging around. That place was full of bums, pickpockets, muggers, you name it, but not anymore. Again, here's clandestine. Trump invoked the Home Rule Act, took control of D.C., and deployed the National Guard. Rubio is finalizing paperwork to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. Grand juries are being impaneled pertaining to Russiagate. D-class is underway. Trump meets with Putin on Friday. Anyone claiming that nothing is happening is blind. Blind. Yeah, and he must have typed that before Tulsi came out with the Dr. Fauchi stuff and the biolabs in Ukraine, right? I think he may have. Flashback to 11/17/2016. This is as good a synopsis of that day as you're going to get. Then NSA Director Admiral Rogers meets with Trump at Trump Tower, just 9 days after Trump wins the 2016 election. Apparently, Rogers did not tell Obama about the meeting beforehand, and the mainstream media did not like that. Given the new emails from DNI Gabbert showing that Rogers stood up to Obama's cabal and called BS on their rushed intelligence community assessment about Russia hacking, it's safe to assume that NSA Director Admiral Rogers might have informed Trump of something at Trump Tower. Trump met with Rogers on November 17, 2016, and Trump moved his transition team operations out of Trump Tower to Bedminster, New Jersey on November 18, 2016. Rogers told Trump something, and Trump moved his entire operation the next day. Game of Thrones. Well, I'll tell you one thing that he told him. He told Donald Trump that his whole building was bugged and he needed to leave because he was under surveillance by a pack of criminals. That's what he was told. But what do we got here? Wall Street apes, arrest counter. Epstein, 0 clients. Epstein clients, 0. Democrats who committed treason, 0. January 6th committee, 0. NGO money launderers, 0. 2020 stole election conspirators, 0. COVID pandemic creators, 0. Man throwing a sandwich, a felony. Yeah, talk about going after low-hanging fruit. Adam Schiff Dan Scavino put this out about Adam Schiff. Whoa, wait a minute. Where's mine? So I figure I'll play it. I hope the music doesn't get me in trouble from Disney or anything like that. No, Donald Trump put this out. I thought it was Scavino. Donald Trump put it out. Lying Shifty Schiff. Lying Shifty Schiff. Maybe I'll leave that on the screen. I won't get a copyright strike for it. I don't know.
Now remember, Pinocchio, be a good boy and always let your conscience be your guide.
Have you heard from the whistleblower? Do you want to hear from the whistleblower?
We have not spoken directly with the whistleblower. Just to be clear, you don't know who this alleged whistleblower is or what they are alleging.
I don't know the identity of the whistleblower.
He clearly gave no indication that he had ever met with the whistleblower or anybody on his team had ever met with the whistleblower.
We might not have even known there was a whistleblower complaint alleging an urgent concern.
Schiff was tipped off about the complaint days before it was filed.
His office acknowledged that the whistleblower had reached out to a staff member.
How does he explain that when clearly at that point the whistleblower had come to Chairman Schiff's committee?
I believe he destroyed his credibility.
And he just wasn't honest with how he answered these questions.
Perhaps you haven't been telling the truth?
Oh, but I have. Every single word.
Yeah. Good thing people came up with that stuff. Well, that was probably back in 2018 they came up with that stuff. I don't know. U.S. Marshal Service, Donald Trump put this up. The U.S. Marshal Service, alongside federal law enforcement agencies and D.C. police, conducted nighttime enforcement operations in D.C. Make D.C. safe again. Boy, that's when your real scummy stuff goes on. Nighttime. Anyway, you know, this Zamdi guy, what's his name? Is his first name Ahmed? I don't know. Hamdi, the creep in New York, the commie in New York that is running for mayor. Boy, you talk about arrogant. He went down to Staten Island. And you know what the conservatives got to do is come up with a little song, you know, because that's what the liberals do. Whose side are you on? Tell me, whose side are you on? They got to come up with songs instead of just getting mad and yelling. I would have come up with Hamdi or Momdi the commie or something like that. But anyway, here he is showing up in Staten Island, and people are pretty upset about it, tell him he's a commie and he's got to go. And speaking of got to go, I'm going to go, but I want to thank you all for spending your precious time with me. Once again, I may go live tonight. If you are subscribed and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. So anyway, I want to thank everybody who's helped me out on Buy Me a Coffee. And I have a link in the description if anybody wants to help out. It's greatly appreciated. And I hope you all enjoy this clip and have a great evening. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
Sorry, I want something to eat. I would like something to eat. Let me tell you something, man. You are not welcome in this island. October 7th, Jew hater. You fucking Jew hater piece of shit. Hey, Mr. Mandandy, can I talk to you? This is my island. You're not welcome here, fuck. Excuse me. You hate Jews. You hate this country. You hate this. Big shot full of Tom Don't put go home.